Amy posts street prostitute working in Mobile, Alabama. She takes $20 per client. One evening, Elmore Pratt, a former boxer, recently dismissed from a car wash, comes to her. He has no money to pay her. Between them, there is a skirmish. Elmore later gets involved in a fight with a police officer in civilian clothes, hits him, and is forced to hide. Amy, being nearby, decides to run with him. They get into the car and leave the city. California becomes their common goal. On the road, they have money. They pick up a passage, but are soon forced to continue the path. During the trip, they go into a cheap eatery where they try to have breakfast, but face the rudeness of the staff. Amy steals a little food. Elmore is nervous, but allows her to take what she needs. On the street, they quarrel again and temporarily diverge. Amy goes alone, but at the nearest stop their paths intersect again, and they continue to go together. On the way, they set up on seasonal part-time jobs. Elmore helps on a gas station where he faces local rude. He is fired for a fight. Amy finds temporary housing with a widow who offers her help in exchange for housework. However, due to suspicions from the neighbors, she has to leave. In the evening, they meet again and together go to another city. At the bus station, they have an idea to try to get a hitchhiking. One driver agrees to toss them, but turns out to be bored. Amy threatens him and they throw him out of the car. Then they themselves go a few more miles in this car until gasoline ends. Forced to walk again, they reach a small town where they set up in a cheap motel. Amy is again engaged in prostitution to pay for the night. Once they get acquainted with an elderly couple who takes them for spouses and offers a shelter for one night. In the morning, Elmore helps the old man with the repair of the barn. Amy remains with an elderly woman. After breakfast, they leave, thanking hospitality. On the way to the field, they find a dropped wagon and use it to get to the next settlement. Day after day, they move through the countryside, faced with difficulties in the lack of food, overnight, and constant lack of money. In one of the towns, Elmore participates in illegal boxing battles. He manages to win several rounds and earn a little cash. Amy, meanwhile, works as a waitress in a cafe. For some time, they have the opportunity to relax a bit and even rent a room for several days. But soon Elmore's fight ends with a hand injury. He can no longer fight. There is not enough money again. They decide to continue the path to California, despite fatigue and constant skirmishes among themselves. At the railway station, they jump into the commodity car. For several days they spend on the way, eating that it is possible to steal or get a handout. When the train stops, they are driven away by the guards. On the highway, they meet a family who offers them to give them to the border with Texas. Amy and Elmore temporarily remain in the border town. There they get acquainted with the owner of the local car service. He offers Elmore a job. Amy, meanwhile, finds temporary housing in a woman who is engaged in small trade. Both for several days spend separately. Soon, Elmore quits due to the conflict with the employer, and Amy leaves the housing, where she is accused of theft. They meet again and continue the way. In the desert area, their car breaks, which they bought with the last money. They walk through a dusty plain. In the evening, they get to the roadside cafe, where Amy is arranged by a dishwasher and Elmore is a guard in a warehouse. For several days, they live in a trailer belonging to the owner of the warehouse. However, here the conflict. Elmore is suspected of theft. They are kicked out. They are on the road again. In the rain, wet and tired, they get to the stop. They manage to get to the outskirts of Los Angeles. They have almost nothing, things, no money, no clear plans. They walk through the streets of the city. Ahead is an endless road. They decide to stay in Los Angeles and try to start from scratch.